In the 1962 independence elections, no party could win by absolute majority because they had fragmented the electorate into sectarian groups that could never attract broad support. Guided by our principle of Pan-Africanism, when we won power, we worked with Mzee Hassan Mwinyi, Mzee Benjamin Mkapa, Mzee Daniel Arap Moi, supported by Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, who was still alive at that time, to revive the East African community, which was re-inaugurated on the 30th of November, 1999. Guided by the same principles, we stood with the African brothers in South Africa, Namibia, South Sudan, Rwanda, Burundi, Somalia, etc. It is this principle that educates us not to aim at building a Latin America in Africa, but building a United States of Africa in Africa, to ensure the prosperity of our people and the strategic security of Africa. Our belief in patriotism and Pan-Africanism enabled us to build a strong national army for the first time since the collapse of the Barclays Empire around the year 1500 AD. This is partly on account of the ideology of anti-sectarianism. We do not look at soldiers with sectarian lenses, but with soldiership and ideological lenses for patriotism. That is how we were able to build an army that could go for so long and anywhere for either no pay or low pay. This strong army has been always backed by a vast structure of popular support in the form of the RCs, resistance councils, diluted by the politicians to LOCs. They didn't like resistance, they changed it to that they are local. I also kept quiet. This peace architecture has enabled the economy to recover and thrive. By the end of last financial year, the size of the economy was $45 billion, having grown from $1.5 billion in 1986. The economy had therefore expanded 30 times since 1986, and we had entered the lower end of the middle income status with a per capita GDP of US dollars 1,046. This was in spite of the population growing from 14 million in 1986 to 43 million now. We could have achieved more if it was not for the obstructions we normally get from careerist politicians and administrators or neo-colonial agents. One of the big mistakes has been the refusal by the careerist political administrative class to transform the pre-capitalist traditional society into a food secure and commercially active class with a chibaro, a sabu, looking for the most remunerative enterprises compared to the family land size and generally getting involved in the money economy by the whole society. This is in spite of the guidance we have been giving the country ever since 1995, when I made a countrywide tour giving facts of what can be done after I had carried out successful transformation in the cattle corridor. On account of this negligence by the political and administrative classes, by 2013, the homesteads that were still in the subsistence sector were 68%, having been 96% in 1969. That is when I involved the army in the form of OW, Operation Wealth Creation. The figures show that there has been a decline in the homesteads that still work for the stomach. With the parish development model and the Myoga, not forgetting the bigger industrialization and modernization programs, we are sure to finally involve all the homesteads in the money economy. We have sent money to the parish circles and to the Myoga. This is going to unleash massive production of food, beverages, other raw materials that must be processed by factories. Moreover, agriculture will now be firmly anchored on irrigation. Therefore, the erraticness of production in agriculture is over. This in turn means the damming to the water bodies must stop because we need the water for irrigation. Out of the 60 million acres of Uganda, 8.9 million are covered by water bodies and wetlands. And assuming we have forests covering 30% of the country, that would leave us 15.3 million acres for agriculture. If 10 million acres were used for intensive agriculture of the 4 acres model, that would give us 2.5 million small farms. In the Ruengaju area, our small-scale farmers using only 1 acre are employing 15 people per farm. Using this conservative figure, the 2.5 million small farms would employ 37.5 million people. Assuming the other 5 million acres were for medium-scale farming, using farms of 100 acres each, we should have 50,000 farms. These, in addition to the intensive agricultural activities of the small farms, would use extensive agriculture to produce maize, sugarcane, cotton, tea, tobacco, etc., products that only make economic sense when they are produced on a large scale. These would create their own jobs. All this is just in agriculture. How about industry, manufacturing? How about services? How about ICT? The problem, therefore, is not jobs. The problem is the neo-colonial thinking that is always off the point and not able to understand the strong potential of Africa. Now that we have solved the problem of electricity, we are moving full steam on all the opportunities of the value addition in agro-processing, fruit processing, animal feeds for maize, cassava flour and starch, banana flour and starch, ethanol from different sources, etc., paper from forest products, sealing boards from forest products, vertically integrated steel industry, food processing of copper, fertilizer industry from our phosphates, the pathogenic economy of vaccines and pharmaceuticals, and the diagnostics and sanitizers, and the knowledge industry of automobiles and electronics, as you saw here, these which are already being made here. With our East African brothers and sisters, the sky is the limit. Recently, I'm about to finish. Munange myaka enkaga, 60 years, please, muzikirize, allow me. Munikubali miaka 60, sio kitu rahisi. Wacha nitoe maneno yote. Recently, there was yet another manifestation of imperialistic arrogance and hegemonism by elements in the European Parliament, whereby they decreed from Brussels that East African crude pipeline should not be constructed until those arrogant actors permit us to do so. Parasitic elements from that part of the world have been causing problems for Africa and the world for the last 500 years. It all started with 1453 AD, when the Turkish Ottomans captured Constantinople and blocked the land route for Europe to the east for trade in silk, spices, etc. The Europeans, led by Portugal, legitimately started looking for an alternative sea route to the east to outflank the blockade, partly due to our internal weaknesses caused by the bankrupt tribal chiefs. What started as a search for alternative route to the east soon became a mega slave trading phenomenon: colonialism, exploitation, looting, and genocide in Africa, Asia, and the Americas. By 1900, the whole of Africa had been colonized except for Ethiopia. However, soon the Africans and other colonized peoples reorganized and launched a massive anti-colonial movement in Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the struggle for equal rights by the black nation in the USA. The African National Congress was founded in South Africa in 1912. By 1994, the arrogant imperialists were defeated in South Africa. Earlier on, the colonized peoples had achieved victories in Indonesia, India, Indochina, Mozambique, Kenya, Algeria, Angola, Guinea-Bissau, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and the whole of Africa, either through armed struggle or through peaceful mass struggle. 1994, with the liberation of South Africa, should have marked the end of imperialist arrogance and meddling in the affairs of their former victims. However, some elements are incorrigible, as you can see from this resolution. The patriotic forces in the world are, however, much stronger, and the patriotic forces in Uganda are much stronger and very capable in all dimensions. The imperialists use the mistakes and the weakness of Africa. Otherwise, Africa is invincible, as was shown by the victories in Mozambique, Angola, and Zimbabwe. East Africans, therefore, should not worry about those arrogant people, that those arrogant people can stop the oil project in East Africa. If any actor tries to delay our project, we shall decisively deal with that betrayal according to the relevant laws. We shall develop all the aspects of the project with willing partners. Initially, I was not interested in the pipeline. I was only interested in the refinery to produce petrol, diesel, aviation fuel for East African market. It is Total who insisted, even when Uganda had to give away US dollars 20.7 per barrel to use the pipeline. In the end, we support the pipeline because it contributes something modest to our Tanzanian sisters and brothers who, under Mwalimu's leadership, contributed so much to Africa, including Uganda, in the anti-colonialism effort. Besides, the pipeline corridor provided by the Tanzanian government will bring to us gas from Tanzania and Mozambique because our gas resources are not that big. We need gas for fertilizer manufacture, to produce chemicals, etc. Therefore, down with the imperialist parasitic measures. However, Africa should know that even during the anti-colonial struggle, we had progressive whites that were on our side. Lord Fenner Brockway, Sir Dingo Foot, Professor George Shepard, etc. worked with Mzee Musazi in our anti-colonial struggle. Even today, there are progressive forces in Western Europe who can work for the common good of humanity, who are not part of white chauvinism. We shall seek them out. Most importantly, the oil project and other projects are unstoppable. The NRM has always had a correct philosophical, ideological, and strategic grasp of all issues. Nothing can derail us, in spite of the good movement in the world to curb the emissions of the greenhouse gases and move away from oil as fuel for cars. Our oil will remain valuable. We shall still need the oil for textiles like the shirt I normally put on. It is 65% polyester, which is from oil. We need hydrocarbons for fertilizer, nitrogen, for plastics, for tar, for our roads. As you saw, we are moving on the electric vehicles, electric pikipikis, using hydrogen for steel manufacture, etc. However, our oil will remain useful for other non-polluting purposes. All living things have carbon in them. Carbon is not a problem. The problem has been greed of foreigners who jump from this to that looking for money without careful and honest study. Before the coming of foreigners, Africa was using solar energy, wind energy, etc. for drying things, processing millet, and using carbon for blacksmithing in a controlled way. With the more understanding of natural laws, science, if we would do away with greed, all these products can be used safely and sustainably. When oil will no longer be needed for driving cars, it will serve us longer for use for other purposes. I thank everybody. In particular, I thank their excellencies, His Excellency Ndayishimiye, President of Burundi and Chairman of the East African Community, His Excellency Salva Kiir Mayardit, President of South Sudan, His Excellency Sheikh Mohamud, President of the Republic of Somalia, His Excellency William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Dr. Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar, and the Chairman of the Revolutionary Council representing the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, His Excellency Ebua Jean-Pierre, Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Public Service of DRC, and His Excellency Professor Manasi Nshuti, Minister of State for East African Affairs, representing the Republic of Rwanda, and Dr. Peter Mathuku, Secretary General of the East African Community, and Honorable Sadio Kamara, Minister of Defense of the Republic of Mali, for honoring us by positively responding to my invitation to be with us on this occasion. This is part of Undugu. Thank you so much. Ambassador, have you survived the speech? Muchariwo katonda yebazigo oba muonye speech eno. Asante sana kama kuvumilia hii hotuba ndefu kiasi hiki. 30 pages. Thank you very much.